You know, Ron, I've actually studied psychology.
Is that why you're a doctor?
No, that was just part of the required curriculum. My doctorate is in something less sane and more physical.
Oh, interesting. So, what makes you bring up psychology?
Well, today we're going to analyze the good doctor and see if there's a reason behind the things he does. What?
Well, that sounds almost impossible of how many different ways the writers have taken the character.
Well, I should clarify, I'm mostly sticking to game continuity.
I'm still not sure.
Also, I'm sticking to pre-Unleashed when his personality was less all over the place.
Oh, okay. That I think we can work with. You know, it's weird. People think that modern Eggman is more in line with classic Eggman than adventure Eggman.
I think having Eggman talk just made it seem more real to a lot of people.
So classic Eggman stuffed animals into robots, subverting their will for a power source, creates bases full of pollution destroying the ecosystem, and napalm bombs the entire forest to kill one hedgehog, but that's all cartoony fun?
Well, you see, that's where psychology comes in. Both classic and adventure Eggman are about the same in how they operate, but the key difference between classic and adventure Eggman is charisma.
Well, both seem pretty charismatic, though that didn't become as prevalent for classic Eggman until Sonic 3, with him tricking Knuckles. Adventure Eggman does get to do it more, with him manipulating many characters, but he got more games to do it, so I'm not sure if that's fair.
But Ron, I don't mean his charisma in universe, I mean what he projects onto the audience.
That's a good point. When he talks in a more story-heavy game, it probably confronts the player more of his actions.
Yeah, harder to detach yourself from the character's actions when you see their interactions word for word.
Though I'm starting to wonder what the player's view of him has to do with his motivation.
Fair enough, I just thought it would be important to establish where I'm coming from. I don't want people to think I see the classic games and the adventure games as separate entities.
True, don't want people to think this is only a Sonic Adventure 2 theory like last time. So, with that out the way, where should we begin?
Well, wherever seems most logical. Where would you say Eggman got the biggest influence in his life?
I think that would be
my grandfather, Gerald Robotnik.
Yes, that would be the most obvious answer given what Eggman says during SA2's credits.
As a child, I looked up to my grandfather because of all the great things he accomplished in his life. He was my hero, and I wanted to be a great scientist like him.
Don't get to see that side of him much.
Though this scene makes me speculate as to the implications.
First, I think we should look at what these accomplishments are.
Well, there's the Space Colony Arc and by extension the Eclipse Cannon.
The Chaos Drives, which guns still used.
He researched the ancient echidnas.
He also researched Gizoid in the Fourth Great Civilization.
And if Sonic Chronicles is canon, the echidnas are the Fourth Great Civilization.
So let's take this one by one. Eggman is pretty narcissistic. His view of himself is off the charts. He even puts his face on a lot of his creations. We think in the Ark's case it wasn't intentional, but it could have possibly been Eggman's design inspiration.
The Chaos Drives, which were initially designed to transfer energy into living tissue, are used in all of Gun's robots. Eggman as a villain usually ties into the Chaos Emeralds, though he never employed an idea like this, instead using animals as a power source, also having them double as pilots. Perhaps to combine less predictable organic thinking with robotic calculations.
Now his research in ancient civilizations is very interesting, as Gerald's research could explain why Eggman had knowledge of Chaos and the Master Emerald.
That along with Gerald's biological creations show that neither of these scientists want to limit themselves by subject.
Very Da Vinci of them.
Indeed.
Now though, given this information, I think the next big question is how long was Eggman in possession of his grandfather's journal?
Well, given his echidna-related knowledge, Chaos and the Master Emerald included, I'd say he's had it for longer than we knew he had it.
But if that's true, why did he take so long to go after Shadow?
That's a good point. Even if he was the military's top secret weapon, Gerald's journal very explicitly references Shadow by name.
So which is it? Did he recently find the journal at the time of Shadow's release? If that's true, Eggman's Da Vinci nature would be more following his grandfather's footsteps than studying notes.
Or was it that he had the journal the whole time and was slowly working to find out where Shadow was? In this scenario, Gun keeping him very well hidden.
Hard to say which.
I think it's cooler left ambiguous.
Maybe, Black, maybe. But I think there's one more thing that needs to be brought up. What about Eggman's view of his grandfather? What's with that random clip?
It's just to show that even in the Japanese version, it's acknowledged that his last name is Robotnik. But I see what you mean.
What? Did he really mean to destroy us?
That question almost seems to imply his grandfather wasn't evil in his view, but the journal mentions destruction.
Maybe it's like a wholesale destruction thing. Despite his grandfather's insanity, I don't think Eggman thought he had it in him to commit genocide.
No goal, no gain, just boom.
Yep.
Well, that's just a theory.
A lot of theories, actually.
See?
Oh, wait.
What? What?
We never explained his possible reasons for being evil.
I think Gerald, as his influence, pretty easily explains that.
But Ron, I don't think his motivation is purely revenge.
I'm not quite saying that. I mean, he was just following his grandfather's wishes. Oh wait, this is another one when the time he got his journal comes into play.
Exactly. If Eggman had the journal for a long time, then it is most likely out of a desire to see his grandfather's wishes continued.
But if he had it for a short time, it's possible Eggman, as slightly suggested in Sonic Adventure 2's ending, bought into Gun's propaganda and it became a supervillain because he might have thought it was what his grandfather really was.
Which could be disputed depending on how well Eggman knew Gerald.
A lot of what we said in general is hard to prove.
So now we bring in the final authority.
He's been on our channel twice now. First to play Streets of Rage.
And second to show the world his first rap.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Ivo Robotnik.
Ron, Dr. Black, thank you for having me on today. I've heard what you two have said about this matter, and I'm here to clear the air. You see... Thanks, Eggman. Good to see we were on the right track. Well, Dr. Black, as they say, geniuses do think alike. Oh yes, and Ron, you too. Good job.
Well, that's just a theory.
An Eggman theory. Tune in next time when we discuss how 06 affected the timeline.